Our session will deal about cognitive and metacognitive factors in learning. So perhaps in some of your subjects, you have heard about the cognitive factors in learning. Alam naman natin, it's about the intelligence, it's about the mind, it's about knowledge. Okay? But what about metacognitive factor? Have you heard about metacognition? Anyone from this class? If you have heard about metacognition, please raise your hand. Unmute your
Yes
microphone.
po. Yes po, sir.
Sige nga, pakibigyan kami ng insight about that.
Ah, metacognition, sir, means thinking about thinking po.
Yes, correct. Okay, it's thinking about thinking. But the question now, how do we do that? And how do we develop this to our learners? Yun yung tanong. Because you know what? They are saying, and it's a fact, that if you develop the metacognition of the child, okay, na meron na siya, even without you, they can learn. And you already achieved your purpose. Pwede na kang mag-retire yung first year of teaching mo pa mo. Pwede na kang mag-retire once you gave them this. Sir, okay naman, first year of teaching pa mo. Because they will become lifelong learners. Pag sinabi kasing thinking about thinking is that you know the strategies on how to learn. You already know the strategies that suit you as a learner. Okay? At since alam mo na yan, you know how to strategize, you know how to plan for learning, even without the assistance of anyone. Okay? Ito yung extended na learning instruction, no? That when they are at home, they are independent because they know exactly what they need. They know exactly how to do it. They know exactly how to plan. Okay, like in your case, for sure, you have developed your metacognition because you already know yourself in terms of review. Alam nyo na yung oras na pinaka-effective para sa inyo. Alam nyo na yung strategy ng pagre-review na effective para sa inyo. Yung iba, gusto ay na-highlight yung mga insights na nandun sa papel. Yung iba gusto gumagawa pa ng sariling reviewer. They will create their own reviewer aside from their notes. That could be. Yung iba naman, they review 5 days prior to the exams because they know they need that time in order to grasp everything. Yung iba naman mahilig sa rush. Iba, hindi ko sinabing lahat, pero bala mo ata makakita na yung trend yan, yun, mapag-rush yan. Okay. In rush kasi it's a risk. But if that's your learning strategy, if that's the way you learn, okay, the way you grasp the information, then so be it. For as long as the strategy is effective to you, then go ahead. But if not, itang mamamag-music na mo habang mag-review ka na. Pero panay naman zero ring scores. Tuknakan mo yung music. Okay? Manya kayang kakuryenteng manya yung kapang kinabukasan mo, mo bagay ka mamamakyapos. We have our unique way of learning. That's what I mean. Okay? Pero yung gusto yung tahimik with pailaw and then kaya burinate ang madalong. Aking ngayon nakakakiting re-review na makapag-memorize. Pa rin nating makanta. Sir, nakakit-review. No? Pota, yun aking isip na, di ba? Aking mind, no? Photographic memory. May mga ganyan, no? So, it's up to us as teachers and how we develop this metacognition. Yung cognition, lahat ng teachers may skill na ganyan. But to be able to relay, to teach about metacognition to your learners and to develop their own metacognition, ay naku, pagagawa niya yan, that you already achieve your purpose. Okay? Miras na ko aking langit. Ako magtambay king purgatorio kanta. In your afterlife, ano yung pakaranan? Patarugo, excited kayo, agad kong may maalam. Wag naman. Okay? Panayin nyo pa yung graduation kayo, but dyan 1 year of teaching mo, mahal nyo. 1 year mo, okay, but 4 years kami garal. Okay. Our session objectives for today will be the following. Design learning activities to facilitate the cognitive and metacognitive processes in learning. So later, we will enumerate one by one on the different activities that we can do inside the classroom in order to promote cognitive and metacognitive processes. Again, cognitive is the mind, okay, your knowledge. Okay, but metacognitive, it's thinking about thinking. Parang ganito yan. Cognitive, it's about thinking. But metacognitive, it's thinking about thinking. Cognitive is about learning. But metacognitive is learning how to learn. Learning about learning. Okay, compare and contrast the perspectives and concepts related to cognition and metacognition. Third, to analyze findings to explain cognitive and metacognitive factors in learning. And last, to identify indicators of cognitive and metacognitive skills. So later, assess nyo na rin yung sarili nyo. We will describe one by one, or we will list the characteristics of a learner who already possess, okay, of a learner who already possesses, with ES, singular yun, so I stand corrected, who already possesses cognitive and metacognitive attributes. So assessing sarili, you know at you know kaya kayo reta, then you have metacognition. Kung wala, well, you're still alive, but impan chance to get metacognition. Eh, yung papay na, okay? Basta talang tutukiking spaceship. Okay, to achieve that objective, we are going to have the following session outline. We'll have a discussion on the comparison of cognitive and metacognitive factors in learning. Second, cognitive and metacognitive factors in learning. We will define it in detail. And then the indicators of cognitive and metacognitive theories in the K-12 curriculum guide. Okay, and these are the references I used for this session. Okay, we have a question here. It asks here, how do we describe a successful learner? How would you know if a learner is successful? What are the characteristics or what are the abilities that they have? Let's have, yes, Miss Santos Camille. Yes, Miss Camille, are you here? Are you here?
Yes, sir. Hello po.
Okay, that's the question, Miss Camille. What are the characteristics of a successful learner? Halimbawa, may 40 students ka. How would you know if one learner is already successful?
Para po sa akin, sir, pag natuto siya, and then po, na nakakapag-reflect siya dun sa kung paano po siya natuto.
Okay, I'll get the last one. Okay,
Okay,
the
sir.
ability to reflect on what they have learned. It's more on, diba, application, more on mental representations. That is correct. Pero yung word na natuto, kasi we have different representations of natuto. How would you know, Camille, if a child learned something? Yung natuto siya. What are the manifestations?
He or she can solve a problem, sir.
Okay. So yan, a specific description of a successful learner for Ms. Santos. So he can solve problems, he can reflect on learning. Thank you, Ms. Santos. What about Ms. Santiago?
Sir, yung characteristics of a successful learner po. Para sa akin po, kahit bata pa lang yung isang estudyante, makikita mo na sa kanya yung ability niya. Halimbawa, pag may binigay kang task sa kanya, kahit alam mong mahirap yung task na binigay mo sa kanya, siya still gagawin niya yun para po magawa niya yung task na yun.
Okay. Like persistent. Ayan, they are persistent to solve a task. They are always interested and passionate in solving a task kahit na nahihirapan sila. Okay, good description, Ms. Santiago. So far, you have good description of successful learner. Let's have Ms. Ira Fermin.
Para po sa akin, sir, kapag yung nalaman niya po sa school is na-apply niya po in real life po.
Okay, about application of what they have learned into real life, that's a successful learner for Ms. Fermin. So this is very important. Okay, thank you for the three answers coming from our three future teachers for tonight. Okay, these concepts and perspectives about a successful learner is very important in order for us to understand cognition and metacognition. So according to some studies, common observation for successful learners is that they can create mental and meaningful representations of knowledge. Yung sinabi nyo kanina, application. Okay, check. Another is that they can link the new information you are presenting to the prior knowledge that they have. They can connect, they can make connections, yung sinasabi natin. Like what we are teaching right now, we are teaching about metacognition, we are teaching about cognitive. If you can connect this into other concepts in other subjects or in the same subject that you are taking, then it's a sign that you are a successful learner. Another is that they can have a listing of the reasoning strategies, Okay, the thinking strategies to achieve complex learning goals. Yung tinatawag natin na they could plan using their mind. They have a visual map, okay, on the direction of their learning. Ang tanong, meron na ba kayo ng mga characteristics na yon? Pag wala pa ako, susuwi ako, tutukiking spaceship ako natin pan chance niya. Dakal tapa time. Tintapang until December, third week or second week for mayari na lang mo na. Pila na weeks. Dan yun na itang LG tamo mo kay screen na. Kwatang mayari. Itang anggulo kayo mo. At least mo experience tayong online class. And hopefully by next year, 2021, we hope for the better and we see each other face to face. Baka lang maglag. Ala na siguro maglag kanta niya itang masira connection pag ausan ko lang. Maka-excuse ko ngayon kasi mahina po yung connections or understandable when we take it, okay? Pero pag face-to-face kasi yan lang kawala. Balo ng Mr. Baila yan. Ang manimawas na komoking kain. Kareng takot, ang ulit-ulit. Okay. Those are the characteristics of a successful learner. And we should know about that. We have our own standards. Plus, we should need also to match this to the standards of the experts. Okay? Pota kasi yung successful learner para kaya itang lulubmual dolto. Basta't lulubyal dolto, successful learner. I know. Okay? Successful learning has something to do with the three, okay, cited reasons. And all of those which is cited, okay, by Camille, Ms. Santiago, and Ms. Fermin are correct. And they connect with the three characteristics introduced by these experts. Now, if they possess these skills, those which I mentioned, linking prior to new information, creating meaningful representation, they know how to apply what they have learned, they can create a list of thinking and reasoning strategies to achieve complex learning goals. These are proofs that they already possess the cognitive skills. Okay? Yung binanggit natin na yun, mga ebidensya na meron na sila ng cognition. Sir, paano naman yung cognition? Yan ang aalamin natin mamaya. Okay? In order for us to differentiate very well between cognition and metacognition. Cognition and metacognition are both thinking processes. But when we say cognition, it's simply about mental processes. Okay? Okay, and abilities people use on a daily basis, like when you analyze things, when you think logically, ayan, that's cognition. Okay, pag nagsosolve ka ng problem, you use your cognition. Okay, to solve problems, that's the basic definition of cognition. We use cognition to solve problems, to deal with life. But we use metacognition in order to allow for planning, monitoring, and evaluating our own learning. Kumbaga, yung sinabi kanina ni Ms. Camille na reflection sa natutunan mo, that's metacognition. If you know how to reflect on what you have learned, at alam mo na from 9 out of 10, meron kang isang hindi natutunan na isa at kailangan mo pang matutunan, and you will plan, okay, to learn about this concept, that is metacognition. Okay? At the end of the day, yung bago kayo matulog, nagre-reflect kayo, like, what did I learn for today and what I still need to learn for the next day. Do you do that? Ali, ati ako may gagana ka, dakal dapat time. Okay? Basta't alang tutukiking sala. Okay? Turo ko pa, tandaan niyo. Okay. Another is when you have your own monitoring technique. Let's say, for instance, may 3 kang mali. And then, ang ginawa mo is that to find ways in order to know about these 3 mistakes. Okay? Para malaman mo yung tamang sagot kasi hindi ka makontente. You need to know. That's monitoring your own learning. That's metacognition. Okay? O kaya may review, kaya ka ginawang reviewer, pero alam mo sa sarili mo na kailangan mo ng reviewer because that's your learning strategy. Pero ka ginawang reviewer kasi bala na matamad kuha mo. Ka ginawa. Metacognition to. But if you became consistent na ginawa ka kasi balo mo kailangan even if it will require time, okay, that's metacognition. Kumbaga, you know the effective ways for you to learn. Okay? Lalo na yung time, even yung time ng pagre-review or pag-aaral, pagtatrabaho, di ba? Alam mo na mabilis ang pag-iisip mo pag gabi na. Pero gagawan mo nga, metacognition because you don't have the knowledge about your ability, about your learning strategy. So in layman's term, metacognition is your skill to identify what suits you as a learner, while cognition is simply the mental processes that enable you to solve problems. Okay? I hope I'm clear with that description and differentiation between cognition and metacognition. It says here, cognitive processes allow a normal functioning of, so pag alang cognitive processes, sir, ali normal. Ayan, normal function. O, balo yun na. pag ikaw makapanisip pa sa lese, pala normal. Okay? No, in daily activities like when we solve problems, when we do tasks, kahit sa bahay, ayan, if you could do this, then you have a normal functioning of the individuals, then you have the cognitive processes. Okay? It allows you to think normally, to solve problems normally. Okay? But metacognition takes it to a higher level. So, sir, pag ating kang metacognition, it's the level up? Yes. Because you will not be able to achieve metacognition without cognition. You still need that knowledge first before having metacognition. And this metacognition will permit you to develop more your cognition. So, ang ganda, no? They benefit each other. Okay? They complement each other. Metacognition and cognition. Okay. Other terms used interchangeably with metacognition are self-regulation. Ayun, self-regulation, meaning to say you know how to regulate your own learning. Okay? Another is executive control about yourself. These two phrases, self-regulation and executive control, are synonymous to the word metacognition. It's about controlling your own learning. It's about controlling yourself as a learner. Okay? The knowledge people have about their cognitive processes is what we call metacognitive knowledge. Okay? Sorry, that's cognitive knowledge. While the use of cognitive processes, again, I stand corrected for this one. Ulitan ko, para ka rin ala, Kenny, and we are recording. The first one is cognitive knowledge. I repeat, the knowledge people have about their cognitive processes is what we call cognitive knowledge. I repeat, cognitive knowledge. So I correct this one. While the use of cognitive process to facilitate memory and learning is what we call metacognitive regulation. Okay? So metacognition is simply the awareness, okay? The awareness of the self as a knower. Knower bilang isang learner. Another synonym for learner. Your knowledge about yourself. Do you have a knowledge about yourself? Mr. Baila, how do you assess your own learning? What learning strategies suit you? Pa-share naman, baka mamaya may makuha kaming something from you. Pwede ming gamitan, Mr. Baila.
Strategies po, sir. Pag po kasi ako nagre-review, usually gumagawa po ako ng reviewer. Then po
so ganun ka rin.
tapos po yung ginagawa ko din po yung parang sa classroom setting po na ikaw po yung teacher, tapos you ask a question, then ikaw din po yung sasagot mismo.
Okay. So this learning strategy suit you and you know that very well. Okay? So at least you have metacognition, Mr. Baila. Okay. What about Miss Janessa Layug? Okay. Bilang ikang mga dito today, Miss Janessa. Okay. Attach ko kayong Holy Spirit today na. What learning strategies suit you?
Ano po, sir? Kapag nagre-review po ako, sir, meron po akong handouts. Tapos yung handouts ko po, sinusulat ko pa siya, sir.
Wow.
Pagkatapos-
Yung sinusulatan mo pa sa side. Tama?
Yes, sir.
You have your
Yung-
own notes.
Yes po, parang sinasummary ko lang po siya, sir. Tapos sina-highlights ko po yung gusto kong sabihin. Then po after nun, ku-question ko na naman po yung sarili ko. Tsaka number 1 po, ayoko po
Ayun,
ng
maganda
maingay.
rin yun ha. Like when you ask yourself, you question yourself about the topics, hindi ko mag-isa kinakausap minsan. That's metacognition. Okay? Wow, Vanessa, congratulations. You have the gift of metacognition, Vanessa. Ang tanong, pag tinatanong mo yung sarili mo, Miss Layog, nasasagot mo naman?
Ano, kasi po sir, minsan po, bago ko po tatanungin, gusto ko po, alam ko na po siya lahat. So kapag di ko po siya maalala, titingnan ko po yung notes ko.
Okay. So again, that's good. Pero minsan kasi may mga tanong tayo sa sarili natin na hindi natin masagot, but we will find ways in order to answer that. That's a good thing, okay? So thank you, Ms. Dayug. So again, that's metacognitive knowledge and metacognitive regulation, okay? Again, ano sinabi ko nandun? Metacognitive, na I stand corrected ulit. This is metacognitive knowledge, really. I checked the book for accuracy. It's metacognitive knowledge, okay? Metacognitive knowledge and metacognitive regulation. So metacognitive knowledge is the knowledge people about their own cognitive processes, while metacognitive regulation is the cognitive process, okay? The use of cognitive process to facilitate memory and learning, like the way you control the different mental processes you have, okay, in yourself, okay, and using them when reviewing, memorizing. As example, for examination, there are some points that you need to memorize. Kasi alam mo, pag hindi mo memorize kung isang part na yon, hindi mo matatandaan. But there's some points na hindi mo na memorize, all you need to do is to understand. Okay, ay yung ginagawa natin doon is what we call metacognitive regulation. You are regulating, controlling the mental processes in your mind in order to understand a concept. At alam mo sa sarili mo na hindi lahat kailangang i-memorize. There are